So, galactic astrology is the study of astrology as it pertains to the galaxy and as it pertains to the solar system and as it pertains to the energy and the vibration of the cosmos. So it's not only our solar system that's involved in galactic astrology, but it is the galaxy that's involved in galactic astrology as well. And this energy is really beautiful and really powerful. And we're going to get into that later on in the study of galactic astrology. But today we're going to be introducing the planets. This is module 1. So this is the first class in the series of about 4 or 5 classes that's going to extend through the month of March. So we're going to be introducing the planets, as well as the asteroids, dwarf planets, trans Neptunian objects, and things of the like, which we'll break down. All right. So, the language of our solar system. The planets are the language of our solar system. In astrology, the sun and moon are considered planets. So keep that in mind, as well as the Earth in some esoteric systems of astrology, such as galactic astrology. They spell out the vibrations and cosmic energies of our solar system, and their interactions with each other create cosmic events that allow interplanetary development and expansion of consciousness on every planet in our solar system. So basically what this means is that the planets are kind of the alphabet of the solar system, and they spell out different energies. And as they interact with each other, they create different synergies, like they'll spell out certain cosmic waves or certain cosmic energies. And this will allow each planet to evolve and to grow and progress and expand its consciousness, whether it be the physical consciousness of the planet or of the beings who live on the planet, such as humanity living on Earth. And this happens for all of the planets throughout our solar system. Oftentimes we only think of Earth when we think of the, advancement of our species and the evolution of our species throughout the cosmic cycles. But we actually experience this on other planets as well. Some planets exist in different physical forms depending on their level of evolution. So, for example, the gas planets vibrate higher and are therefore more evolved and less physical. That's why they're made of gas, which is more close to an etheric form. However, as you move up in the dimensions, you will experience that they do have, trees and things like that. It's just not visible to us because we're living in a lower density. So there are different categories of planets. The planets are categorized based on how close they are to our planet Earth and how close they are to the sun, and their size and motion as well. So the planets are categorized depending on size and importance. The closer the planet to, the closer the planet is to the Earth tends to increase its importance in social and emotional developments in humankind. The farther away the planet is, the more spiritual or transformational in effect. So, if a planet is very close to the sun, it's going to be perhaps more primal. It may have more light on the planet as well. It may be evolving faster because it orbits around the sun more quickly. However, planets that are farther away are going to be a lot more transpersonal, spiritual, because they don't have that light from the sun, so they're not being warmed by the sun. Therefore, they're evolving in a more slow, progressed state, especially once you get farther out into the solar system, where we have many planets that are actually orbiting for hundreds and hundreds of years, sometimes thousands of years for some of these planets. So their spiritual development can get kind of complex. So the categories of planets breaks down into about 6 categories of planets. We have the luminaries, which are the brightest objects visible to the Earth, which dictate our core identity and psychology. Those are the sun and the moon. The personal planets, which are planets that affect our personal lives and further define our personalities. And these planets will usually be what are called the inner planets, which usually will extend to include the luminaries as well. But they're called inner planets because they're in the inner solar system. They're closest to the sun. Then between Mars and Jupiter, we will have the asteroid belt. And these are the asteroids. And it's actually, it's said in galactic history that the asteroid belt are remnants of planets who were actually destroyed. One of those planets was Tiamat and the other was Maldek. So these are ancient planets, according to esoteric astrology and esoteric studies, that were destroyed and left all of this rubble, these remnants that created other planets, or asteroids as we call them. So they add flavor and nuance to the personality and also offer special talents and gifts. Then we have the social planets. They create social trends, themes, and lessons. And these planets tend to be gaseous. They're Jupiter and Saturn, and they're a little bit farther out into the solar system. So they're starting to, enter the realm of the outer planets. Then beyond Jupiter and Saturn, we have what are known as the Centaurs, which are also asteroids, but they're a very specific type of asteroid because they're outside of Saturn. So they offer advanced skills of healing and spirituality. So thinking of it, thinking of the asteroids and the Centaurs of perhaps energies that are a lot more spiritual, a lot more mystical, a lot more healing. The dwarf planets or trans Neptunian planets are even further out into the solar system. Often trans Neptunian is used to refer to planets that are past the orbit of Neptune. So they're very, very far out into the solar system. They take hundreds and hundreds of years to revolve around the solar system. These planets are deeply mystical and spiritually transcendent energies. So now let's break down each of these planetary categories. The first category, as we spoke about, is the luminaries, which includes the sun and the moon. The luminaries are the brightest objects in our sky, and they represent the most pronounced aspects of our consciousness, our core personalities and psychology. They are a part of the inner planets of our solar system. So these planets are really, really defined in our consciousness because they're the brightest objects in our sky. So, as humanity evolved and progressed throughout time, they saw, the ancient early humans saw the sun and the moon. And that's what they, dictated their calendar cycles by. That's what a lot of ancient feminine cycles were dictated by the moon as well. So these were very strong kind of teachers in our society. Now, the sun represents the masculine, the ego, the father figure, the personality, the drive, focus, and our goals and goal orientation in life. The sun in your chart will show where we shine, where you most feel confident, and what your life purpose is. So where you shine in the world is dictated by the sun. This is going to give you a sense of confidence, a sense of purpose, a sense of feeling good about yourself and fulfilling your mission. The moon represents the feminine, emotions, the mother, comfort, nurture, and psychology. So the moon will show where we need rest, where we feel most comfortable, and how we react to our surroundings. So the moon is like our sense of comfort. It's our sense of relaxation. It's our safe place. And it will show the deeply patterned psychology within us that allows us to kind of have programmed reactionary actions towards the world. So perhaps if you're a Virgo moon, You will react to the world by wanting to fix it. You will want to organize things and put things in order and make sure that things are running efficiently. That will be your natural impulse. Okay. Next, we have the personal planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Earth. We are actually including here as well. Earth is not typically used in astrology, but in esoteric astrology, it is considered because even though we live on the planet Earth, the Earth is still affecting other planets. Like they, say for instance, a civilization on Venus has a system of astrology. Earth would be included in that because Earth is a representation of cosmic energy as well. The personal planets allow us to further express our personalities and will dictate life choices. So it will kind of dictate your disposition in life, how you like to pursue things and what you like to do. Okay. Mercury dictates thought, communication, intelligence, skill, and ingenuity. Okay. It will show how we communicate and in what matter and what our intellectual capabilities are. So, Mercury is a very fast moving planet. It's very skillful, it is very adept. Mercury likes to get things done. That's why it's the ruler of Virgo. That's why it is so efficient. And it's also the ruler of Gemini, which makes it very dexterous, makes it a planet that's very ambitious as well, because Gemini can really get things done and really push through barriers. So, because Mercury is so adept, it's going to show our intelligence, it's going to show what we're good at and how we kind of get ourselves into the world and kind of entwine our thoughts into the world and kind of make things happen. Then we have Venus. Venus represents pleasure, romance, love, money, material items, and will show what we enjoy and the types of romance we engage in. Will also show social skills and the ability to make money. So Venus can be a complex planet because it rules many different things that have to do with pleasure and enjoyment. So things that bring you pleasure and enjoyment, like perhaps things that you're good at, things that you enjoy doing. This could be makeup for some people. This could be writing for others. This could be, many different things that people may enjoy. They may just enjoy spending time with loved ones. They may enjoy sleeping. It really depends on what you enjoy. So it will also show money making abilities as well, because oftentimes what you enjoy or what you're good at will bring you money because it's value. So Venus also rules Taurus and Libra. Libra is a sign of relationships, and Taurus is a sign of material accumulation, material wealth, groundedness, really feeling like you're doing a good job and you're taking your time to make progress. Before, when we did the luminaries, I forgot to mention that the sun rules Leo, which is about, putting yourself out there, performing, having this big personality. And the moon rules Cancer, which is about family, home, feeling safe, feeling loved, feeling nurtured and cared for. So moving forward to Mars, action, aggression, willpower, sexuality will show how we act and how we pursue what we want, and it can show our violent, argumentative side as well. That's the downside of Mars. All of the planets have downsides, but Mars in particular can get a little out of control if he's not in good planetary balance. Action, aggression, really putting yourself out there, making things happen, pursuing your ambitions will be shown by Mars. And Mars can also show physical strength and activity. It can show stamina and drive as well. And then we have Earth, grounding, centering, sense of purpose, and dharma will show what our mission is on the planet. So many people don't know but the Earth is always opposite the sun. So whatever sign the sun is, the Earth will be opposite. For example, right now, sidereally, the sun is in the sign of Aquarius. And for Earth, that means that the Earth is in the sign of Leo. So it's kind of like facing and aligning with the constellation of Leo, as if you look at it from the sun's perspective. So, the Earth does carry energy, astrological energy as well, because it's our home planet. It's more integrated within us. It's kind of like our overall focus. We incarnate on this planet, we live on this planet in order to achieve a certain level of consciousness that this planet has to offer, which is grounding, centering, facing your dharma, fulfilling your purpose, being grounded when you approach your purpose as well, and really seeing things through to the end. Okay. Now we have the asteroid belt. So the asteroid belt is very complicated because there are so many asteroids in the asteroid belt. I believe there's hundreds or thousands. Like I explained before, the asteroid belt is the remnants of a couple planets that were destroyed hundreds of thousands of years ago during galactic wars. The asteroid belt are remnants of the planet Maldek and Tiamat. And you can actually look up a lot of information on that online. But the most important asteroids that are used in astrology are Ceres, Vesta, Pallas, and Juno, and we'll cover the Centaurs as well. But particularly in the asteroid belt are these 4 asteroids. And the asteroids represent more specialized parts of ourselves and can often more deeply describe our personality traits. So they kind of add flavor to the natal chart. Whereas, the luminaries and the personal planets will kind of set out the roadmap. The asteroids will define and nuance certain energies and will bring forward more specialized parts of our personality. So Ceres represents nurturing, what we are growing in our lives, and our mothering instinct. Ceres is a very interesting mythological story about Demeter and Persephone, I believe, which it's called in Greek mythology, where Demeter, which is Ceres, is the goddess of the earth, and she becomes really sad when her daughter Persephone goes underground with Hades. And as a result, she no longer nurtures the earth, so the leaves fall, and that's how we get fall and winter. So that's kind of the mythology there. It's about nurturing the things in our lives that are important to us, and how we can feel lost and not fed and not nourished when we don't focus on the things that are important to us in our lives. Then we have Vesta, which is about focus, dedication, eternal flame, and celibacy. And that may be very interesting, but it goes along with the myth of the Vestal virgins, who were women who never got married and were very focused on tending this hearth flame that existed, I believe, in the center of, I think it was Roman towns, where they tended to this hearth flame, and they would do that their whole lives. Their whole purpose was to preserve their sexual energy and use it to become skilled and adept, obviously at tending the hearth flame, but also at other skills as well. This asteroid will show how we dedicate ourselves in an unwavering manner. Vesta will show in your chart where you put so much energy and so much time into things. Then we have Pallas, which is actually spelled Pallas. There's a typo. But Pallas is intelligence, wisdom, foresight, judgment, and fairness. So, Pallas is a really powerful asteroid too at the same time, because it was the daughter of Zeus, I believe, who sprouted from his forehead. if I'm quoting that correctly. And it will show how we judge the world and how our intellect operates, because Pallas was known to be very intelligent, very wise. Her full name is Pallas Athena. So, her intelligence and wisdom and foresight really allowed her to be very keen and sharp at making decisions, at being fair, and was also very good in battle strategy as well. Juno, which is marriage, relationships, and compromise. Juno is relatable to Hera, which was the wife of Zeus, and will show what kind of partner we are attracted to and how to operate in partnerships. So, Juno will often represent how we compromise with our partner, what kind of partner we need, and how we deal with partnerships. Like, say, for instance, you have Juno and Libra. Maybe you really love spending time with your partner, you really love being with them, and you really dedicate a lot of time and a lot of energy to being with them, and that your partnership is really loving and maybe focused more on the Venusian side of life. Okay. Now we have the social planets. So the social planets are Jupiter and Saturn. Social planets provide overarching concepts that affect larger groups of people, such as generations. They help us to develop our place in the world in a productive and grounding way. So Jupiter and Saturn are really powerful planets because this is when we start to get to the gas planets. That means that their consciousness is more evolved. They are definitely higher vibrational in that way as well. Jupiter is expansive, spiritual, enlightening, abundant, and explorative. It will show how we access our spirituality and how we expand our consciousness. And it can also show travel and wealth as well. So Jupiter is really whatever it touches. It's called a benefactor, beneficiary, benefic planet, because whatever it touches, it just illuminates and it brings inspiration, it brings joy, it brings abundance to whatever house it touches. And if it's an aspect with any of your planets, it will bring that as well. So Jupiter can also show how we pursue spirituality, how we tap into higher spiritual studies, and what areas of our lives are constantly growing and expanding. It can also show, someone who likes to travel a lot if your Jupiter is well placed, or if your ninth house is very activated. And it can show where we can accumulate lots of wealth. Oftentimes people will have Jupiter in the second house, for example, which will bring lots of material resources, lots of abilities to make money. Maybe you have lots of skills, maybe you have a lot of money, or were born with a lot of money. That's an example there as well. And Jupiter in any house is really beautiful, and it's just going to light up anything that it touches. Now, Saturn is quite the opposite because it represents limitations, structure, grounding, delays, hard work, and establishments. And what I mean by establishments are like governments, things that are well established and sturdy and rooted and strong. Saturn will show where we must work hard to overcome and achieve our goals. So Saturn is kind of like the karmic energy that is the karmic energy that really kind of forces us to work hard and forces us to take things really seriously. Saturn in your chart is going to show where maybe something isn't going so well. Maybe if you have Saturn in the seventh house, for example, maybe you struggle in relationships and you're always having to work so hard to have a relationship or to keep a relationship, and maybe your relationship partner might be depressed or they might have some sort of issue as well. And it can just be something that takes a really, really long time to deal with, okay? But once you do face and deal with the lessons of Saturn, you will be able to establish strength and grounding. So Saturn is a karmic planet in the sense that if you really focus on working on yourself and making things happen, then once Saturn finishes pushing you through those hard lessons, you'll get rewards. if you're looking to buy a home, let's say, or move homes, for example, and you're trying so hard, so hard, so hard saving up the money, if you keep going, Saturn will give you the opportunity to have it. And when you have it, it'll be just what you need because you worked hard for it. Okay. Now we move on to the Centaurs, which are the second set of asteroids in our solar system. These Centaurs are Chiron and Chariklo and more. There are many Centaurs, probably hundreds as well, hundreds or thousands. And these energies are a little bit different from the asteroids in the asteroid belt because the Centaurs go beyond Saturn. So metaphorically, Saturn represents obviously that hard work that we do. But after we've done the hard work, we can get to the Centaurs, which are more specialized spiritual and mystical powers. So the Centaurs have spiritual and mystical powers that are often untapped or untamed. They provide spiritual skills and insights. And these Centaurs are based on I believe, Greek and Roman mythology that dictate or that kind of talk about these half human, half animal beings, which I have a picture of there, that the half human, half animal beings that are not quite human, not quite animal. So they kind of have to find their way and they have to like heal and learn how to integrate and learn how to use their special talents and skills. So two of the important Centaurs, because there's a lot of Centaurs out there. We're just going to cover the two most popular ones here, which are Chiron and Chariklo, which are actually mythologically married. So Chiron and Chariklo are married. Chiron is the male counterpart. It is the wounded healer, the teacher, and spiritual shadow worker. I'm sure if you've done some research into astrology, you may have heard of Chiron. It shows the power of healing in the eternal wounds that we carry. So Chiron was a centaur who ended up injuring himself and was not able to heal himself from that injury for a very, 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 like pretty much his whole life. He kept trying, but even though he kept trying, he was able to teach others how to heal themselves through all of the times that he tried to heal himself. So it's going to represent this wound within you that may be kind of painful and kind of difficult to overcome because it cuts so deep, but that through trying to heal that and overcome that, you can help other people and contribute to their growth and be a teacher of spirituality. And it also does represent the deeper shadow work that we have to do as well. Chariklo is the feminine counterpart of Chiron. And Chariklo is a spiritual healer, metaphysician, and energy healer. And Chariklo, she is more of a spiritual energy when it comes to healing. She shows how we connect with a more spiritual and metaphysical side of healing and will offer wisdom with regards to chakras, auras, Reiki, etc. So while Chiron is more on the ground, kind of dealing with things and dealing with the nitty-gritty, Chariklo uses higher spiritual energy to heal, higher spiritual energy to overcome, and will oftentimes deal a lot with energies that are etheric, like healing the aura, healing the chakras, healing the spiritual bodies. Okay. Now we have the transpersonal planets. So the transpersonal planets are really powerful planets. They are Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And the transpersonal planets offer a broader perspective of life. Over cycles of tens or hundreds of years, they allow slow progression and development of spiritual and transcendental concepts. So this is going to be, these planets are going to provide transformation over a really long period of time. The first transpersonal planet that we have is Uranus. Uranus represents change, innovation, breakthroughs, new age, eccentric. It will show major changes in your life or your sense of innovative inspiration. And it can also show instability and erratic behavior. So Uranus is actually known for being tilted on its side in relation to its orbit, its axis, and it does have a ring as well, similar to Saturn. And Uranus is really going to show that very perhaps staticky or electric feeling that we get when we get an idea or we get an inspiration. And this will typically affect one area of life depending on which house it's in. But Uranus will also affect global trends as well, because it takes a long time to orbit around the sun. So political changes, changes in social culture and social norms will be affected by Uranus as well. Neptune represents spirituality, the unseen, illusions, lies, hidden, and can be deceptive as well. It will show where you have strong psychic gifts and how you use them, but it can also show tendencies towards deception, trickery, or being deceived. So Neptune has a good and a bad side like all planets, but Neptune's bad side can be more prominently expressed if it's not in good planetary balance. So Neptune is a spiritual planet because it allows us to connect to the other side and to connect to more, spiritual and etheric energies. However, if we're not careful, this can turn into an overactive imagination or someone who doesn't communicate very clearly and maybe makes inferences but does not communicate with words, maybe does things passively that can give off the wrong idea or give off the wrong impression. And in extreme cases, this can be someone who uses illusion and deception purposefully to create confusion and therefore manipulate or get over on people. And then we have Pluto. So Pluto represents power, fear, obsession, paranoia, transformation. And it will show where we have to face our shadow in order to transform and empower ourselves. So, this is a very intense energy. Pluto is often an area of our chart that is going to show a lot of deep hidden pain, a lot of deep hidden mysteries, and things that we don't like to talk about because we like to keep them underneath the surface. Pluto can be a dangerous planet sometimes because it can show, suppressed obsessive urges and energies, and in negative charts it can show like obsession where people may be inclined to do harmful things as a result as well. Not always, but in certain charts it can kind of push people towards psychotic tendencies or obsessive mentally ill tendencies if it's not balanced. Now Pluto, provided with proper nurturing and really creating that space for yourself to do shadow work and to really get grounded, you can definitely work through Pluto's energy gradually and progressively, okay? Okay, and now we have the Trans Neptunian objects. The Trans Neptunian objects are really, really powerful objects because they are so far out in the solar system that they are affecting us on an extremely powerful cosmic level, but one that is not as well integrated as the inner planets and the planets that are closer to the sun. So the Trans-Neptunian objects are Eris, Makemake, Sedna, Haumea, Quoar, Orcus, Gong Gong, and more. So there are lots of Trans-Neptunian objects, probably in the hundreds. And these are, planets, or rather dwarf planets as they're referred to astronomically, that are not really talked about or used in astrology. because the trans Neptunian objects are newly discovered and they represent untapped parts of our consciousness. They often introduce cosmic concepts and greater karmic points in the chart. These are very, very powerful energies to work with. And of course, they take hundreds of years, sometimes thousands, to orbit the sun. So the first one that we have is Eris. Eris represents discord, disruption, breaking illusions, causing chaos through revealed truths. So Eris is kind of like someone who may be considered a whistleblower, but can also cause mischievous chaos as well. But Eris is important because it's kind of like a radical feminist, a radical person who really tears down the illusion and brings radical change, kind of like Uranus, but in a way that disrupts things. Uranus is more innovative and bright, whereas Eris is disruptive. It can cause chaos as a result of its influence. Then we have Makemake. Makemake is a spiritual trickster. And also, just to give a little bit of context, Makemake is named for the Easter Island creator god. So he's known as a spiritual trickster, has great spiritual focus, a relentless obsession that becomes skill. So Makemake can really force us to tap in with our trickster side, and the trickster can often trick us in ways that can cause a lot of psychological discomfort. But when we tap into our sense of strength, we can create spiritual talents and spiritual understanding through overcoming that chaotic energy. Then we have Sedna. So Sedna is, I believe, the farthest out object in our solar system. It is kind of at the outer limit, almost into the Oort cloud, which is very on the outskirts of the solar system, okay? It represents transcendence, ancestry, bigger karmic themes, and global karma. So, Sedna is going to really show us the very overarching and intense karma that we're dealing with. This isn't just wounded karma or pain or relationship karma. This is like what the purpose of our incarnation is. This is like how we're trying to evolve on the highest spiritual level. And this will often relate to your ancestry, past lives, and karma that you've come into this lifetime with. Sedna can also show places where we feel abandoned and we feel, like we're sinking or drowning, because Sedna is actually mythologically related to the Inuit goddess Sedna, who is the goddess of the deep ocean. And her story is really, really tragic and sad if you want to look into it. And then we have Haumea, which is a Hawaiian creator goddess, I believe, creator goddess or god. This represents spiritual life force, birth, and vital forces of life. So, in the Hawaiian Islands, they have a very strong connection with what is called volcanoes. So, they have a very strong connection with volcanoes, and oftentimes the tectonic plates will like collide so that the volcanoes like create this expulsion of energy and lava, and this is like a primal life force energy. This is a primal force of creation. And that lava represents fire or energy or inspiration. So Haumea is going to show where we feel inspired and alive and what gives us the courage and the life force to live. Then we have Quoar, which is a little bit difficult to pronounce, but this is a Native American god, a creator Native American god. So Quoar represents the universe, which forms chaos into order, new forms and ideas, and release and surrender to the divine chaos of creation. So the divine chaos of creation is really powerful and a really intense energy that can be, you know, metamorphosized and used to create new worlds and new ideas. And Quoar deals with that on a very vast level. It can be a really intense energy to work with because it's taking primal material, chaos, and moving it into order. But it also allows us to have new ideas, new inspirations. And it also allows us to surrender to that creative energy. Sometimes we're just holding on to too much, and we think that the order of our world and the order of how society works is permanent. But in reality, everything can just change, everything can just evolve, you know? And sometimes it's important to just surrender to that and to just accept that so that we're able to see the world from a new perspective and to have new ideas and new realities form out of the chaos of destruction, of the chaos of the old. Then we have Orcus, which is diving deep and bringing the unknown to light. It deals with integrity, deep intellectual investigation, and persecution. This is really, really, really intense energy. Orcus is often like, can be related with witch trials sometimes as well, or related to people dealing with their karma. This is like an energy of being able to face the darkness in an intellectual way, in a detached way. You really have to dig deep within yourself and have an objective point of view in order to work with Orcus and really say, okay, I'm going to look deep within, but I'm going to see it objectively. I'm going to see it and process it intellectually so that I can actually do something about it. But this energy can also be hypocritical as well if you just, point the finger at people and judge people and don't actually do the work on yourself. So that can, it can go both ways as well. Then we have Gong Gong. Gong Gong represents major shifts in consciousness, integration of polarities, destruction, and floods of insight. So Gong Gong is a Chinese god, and Gong Gong's story is actually very interesting. One that was very, very interesting to me. Gong Gong got upset and angry about the way that the creation of the earth was going. And as a result, he banged his head against the earth, tilting the earth on its axis and creating the seasons, because that's why we have seasons, which completely shifted the consciousness of the earth, completely shifted how we deal with polarity, and created, insights and energy and floods of water as well, because this energy deals with floods and deals with water and the flow of insight that can be received from this planet as well. So this is a really, really intense planet. It's going to bring huge, huge consciousness shifts, and it's obviously going to take, a while to transit through all of the signs and orbit around the sun. But Gong Gong in your chart will definitely show where you can get those floods of insight and where you can kind of shift your whole perspective and just kind of change everything. So I know that these Trans Neptunian objects were really, really very metaphysical and very spiritual, definitely a new concept for most people. So if you would like to connect with me, if you enjoyed this teaching session, this class, you can actually book an astrology reading with me if you are so inclined. It's tuesdaiautumn.com/book online, and I'll put it in the chat and everything. And you can also follow me on social media at Tuesdai Autumn as well.